Look at all this loot! DJ, none for you! Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and I am a shameless fan of getting free stuff. And what I have today was stuff that was sent to me by BuzzBee. That's right, I've made it big now. They reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to review our newest blasters? And I said, absolutely. Which, it's kind of surprising that they asked. Well, I don't know. I find it kind of surprising because, as those of you who have watched an inordinate amount of my channel would know, I don't typically do unboxings of blasters themselves. If I'm going to review a blaster, it's going to be part of a mod, part of an upgrade, part of a build, part of K26. But I typically don't just open a blaster and talk about it. That's never been what my channel has been about, and that's probably why no one has ever reached out to me about sending me free blasters to review, because I didn't do that. Well, first time for everything. So, we have 3 BuzzBee blasters here, 1 from Adventure Force, 2 from Air Warriors. The 2 that were sent to me by BuzzBee themselves were this set, the Covert Squad, as well as the Thermal Tracker, and then this one was sent to me by a friend, and I'm going to review it because I still haven't gotten it out of the box. I vaguely mentioned it in a video previously, but I'm actually wanting to get it built, open and take a look at it. So we're going to get these open and take a look at them. I think I will start with this one. This is the Covert Squad Air Warriors, includes 2 bolt-action rifles that apparently have walkie-talkies built into the stock, which is an odd feature, but a neat one. So let's get these things open and take a look. Alright. You get 8 darts, which isn't a lot of darts, really, between the 2 blasters, and then 2 sets of headphones. Look to be just perfectly regular headphones. Must be a speaker. Looks like the speaker's built in right there, perhaps. That plug in to the bottom here. The switch goes 2 ways, and I assume this is the talk button. Fascinating. I flung the instructions, and now I don't know what I'm doing. I take it back. There are no instructions. Aha! I found the battery tray. Hello? Ah! Too much feedback. Hello, hello. Hello? Hello? Still feedback! Try plugging the headphones in. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Oh. The turtles are turning over and over. Alright. I have worked it out. So, for the various walkie-talkie features, it will work without the headphones in, but you have to be fairly far apart or you get some really nasty feedback, which means they're fairly decent setups. It has a switch on the bottom because they actually have 2 separate channels, so you could have 2 teams, a green team and a red team. I don't know if that's showing up well. But the light changes colors depending on whether you have it on one channel or the other. So 2 different groups could have, or a whole bunch of people could be on one frequency, and a whole bunch of people could be on the other frequency, and as long as you're all honest and don't switch frequencies to listen in on your opponents, it would be pretty neat. This is the talk button right here. It's got a speaker as well as a microphone, but if you plug in the headphones, then I believe the mic is probably built onto the headphones. Pretty sure it is. It would make sense for it to be, because it is a stereo channel, so it does have a mic option. And, yeah. So that's kind of a neat feature. I don't know that there was a huge market for bolt-action rifles with walkie-talkies built into them, but it's a really neat idea. And then for the blaster itself, you have just a simple bolt action. Fairly straightforward. I will be going into the range and FPS and all of that of these when I put them through the paces for K20. That actually seems to have some power to it. Obviously, I will be doing these for K26. They will be the blasters that get shown this week. So this Wednesday, you'll see these featured in a K26 episode. So those of you who have already commented asking that before I got to this part of the video, shame on you! Shame! Anyway, those are pretty cool. So, I'll be interested to see if they have how much they've altered the internals. It looks to be the same, where it's got the piston is in fact up here, and this pulls it back. But it definitely feels like it has a lot more power than they used to. So there's some hope for that. It's still tiny. It's still obviously meant for small people, and I am not a small person. So that is not something I would say is a negative. I mean, they are meant to be kids' toys, but these are just really small. Though I'd love to see somebody modify them to be better, to be longer, have a more adult size, because it's a neat idea. Bolt action. I get a lot of people asking about what you could do with a bolt action blaster, and these ones seem to have enough power that there might actually be some hope. So those are pretty cool. Like the interesting feature they've added. Just, you know, neat little things that make things different. Nerf has done walkie-talkie blasters back in the vintage era. They had some walkie-talkie blasters, so I think I actually have one of them. I might. If not, I know the curator does. Alright, let's take a look at the other one that they sent me. The Thermal Tracker, which appears to have a very similar sight to the one that you saw on the Thermal Hunter. Looks to be a different shell, though, so maybe. Let's get this thing open and take a peek at it. This one apparently does have instructions. I wonder if the other one did and they fell out and I didn't spot them. Sounds like something I would do. Anyway, this one also takes 3 AA's, so we're going to swipe them from this one. Alright, well, let's take a peek at the instructions and see how terribly enlightening they are. Alright, well, the sight is the same as the other one. It's got an on switch that then makes the green light appear. It then sets itself normally, and alternatively when you turn it on, you then point it at a cool object or something that's the general ambient temperature and hit the set button. It will blink, and then once it goes green again, it's set. And whenever it is pointed at something warmer, like a people, it changes red. So that's really cool. If you're playing in the dark, you could actually use this to detect zombies that you couldn't even see, which is pretty cool. I don't know what the effective range of it is, and the size of it is one thing that I'm not a fan of. Which I've been meaning to take one of these and try to build a more svelte version of it. And now that I've got even more of these, I'm really tempted to, because now I don't have to worry about, breaking my only one. So I'm giving that a try. The other option that it has, which is really neat, is if you hit the other button, it just changes to a blue reticle. That doesn't change colors, so it basically at that point just becomes a pinpoint sight, but one that, because this won't work in, like, really hot places during the middle of the day, because the sunlight will mess with it. So the fact that they, again, added an option to not have it use that functionality but still be useful is one of those things that I appreciate when companies think about those sort of little details. So it also comes with the adapter, which allows you to resize it for other rails, because they have their own rail system. It's not quite Nerf rail, but this will allow you to, as an adapter, to make it fit Nerf rail, and then it also then has just sideways mount so that you can mount it onto the side of their rail sideways instead of it being in the middle, so you could still hypothetically use iron sights while having your infrared detector, though it would help if it was pointed at the enemy and not at me. So yeah, that is, again, just this little detail that they've added, that they've given you this adapter to switch to the different rail or to side mount. That's just cool that somebody thought of that somebody went, you know what, we could give them a little bit extra, and some bigwig somewhere went, I like that idea, let's do that. So I appreciate that kind of thinking. So that is pretty neat. Let's take a look at the blaster itself. It comes with a 10-round magazine with instructions on it, which is strange. Comes with 10 darts, because that's how much the magazine holds, and that's fairly standard. Good stout spring. That's good for feeding, not so good for it, you know, if you leave it in the magazine too long, it will warp them. All right, let's take a look at the blaster itself. We have the thermal tracker. And it's kind of neat. Does the stock adjust? I can't tell. It feels like it's supposed to. But I think it's just slightly wiggly. No, I don't think it does. One thing I really feel BuzzBee needs to work on is their grips. Their grips are still not ergonomic. This little notch here that looks like you're supposed to put a finger in it, nobody has a finger that small. It's at least long enough for my hand, but it's still extremely uncomfortable because of that. Though it wouldn't be hard to simply cut away the shell and just leave the thin inner strip and sand it down and fill in with epoxy. So it's an easily fixed grip. This foregrip is, I kind of like, though. That's kind of comfy. I like that. And then it is magazine fed, obviously, because it comes with a magazine, and it's bolt action. So this is, I assume, kind of a reshell of the Snipe, but without the long stock or the extra long barrel. So that speaks well for potential internals. Though the worry then is, of course, is can this bolt take a K26? But we will find out. The downside to bolt-action guns is, of course, it's less of a problem with Nerf blasters because you can use these left-handed because you are actually able to support the blaster, you know, with your left hand on the trigger rather than having to... normally, you would have to, for a real gun, you'd have to support it up here and reach around, and with this, that is just not a good option. Either way. Right-handed, obviously, you support it, bracing it against your shoulder and can prime it normally. Left-handed, you can get around it just by holding it up normally. It looks like the stock is definitely a separate piece, so it wouldn't be hard to put a better stock on there, add a stock attachment point or something along those lines. Also, kind of looks like it'd be fairly easy to add a barrel attachment point if you really wanted to, though I don't know why you would. That handle, it's a little bit... This blue part makes it a little bit wide, and that right there is just, it's just not, I mean, it's actually more comfortable for me to go with my middle finger and be able to, that's actually surprisingly comfortable, but not intuitive. Anyway, let's just put a dart through it and see if it at least comes out of the barrel. Yup. It's got some zing to it. I don't know that it'll take K26, but we're going to give it a try, and if not, definitely going to go with something a little bit lower. But as magazine-fed springers go, I don't hate it. I kind of like it. They've got rail both towards the back, but also way towards the front. Which is... I don't hate that either. I like that they at least have it in multiple places. That is pretty cool. Alright, so, the thermal tracker. If you're looking for a magazine-fed bolt-action blaster, this one is now available, and it is all of that. The ergonomics aren't something that you're going to be able to turn into... If you're going for a cosplay of, you know, an Enfield or a Car 98 or something else, you know, a Mauser bolt-action stuff, this isn't going to be the one for you because it's, well, it's magazine-fed and... the shell just doesn't allow for it. These ones, on the other hand, they could potentially be turned into something, especially a World War I style blaster or a World War II sniper rifle, since they used typically the World War I battle rifles as sniper rifles in World War II because bolt actions are more accurate. So I like it. Not great for me because I'm left-handed, so it's not the best option, but it's not the worst. Definitely looking forward to seeing how much of a spring upgrade these ones can take. So stay tuned for that on Wednesday. Now, look at the one that I actually am really looking forward to tinkering with. and I've been meaning to, but just it hasn't made it top of the list. We have the Demolisher, the Air Warriors Demolisher, not to be confused with the Nerf Demolisher. This one looks like a lot of fun, actually. My initial assessment of it when I first looked at it, when it first showed up, was wrong. And a couple of people pointed this out, and I went back and looked at the box and realized, oh gosh, how silly of me. And now that I know how it actually works, I actually kind of like it. Comes with two 15-round magazines because we needed another capacity. But I do like the shape of them and the color of them. And the springs seem to be pretty heavy and they don't seem to jam, so yeah, those are nice. And it comes with ammo for both of them. Yep, 30 rounds. And what we have here is a magazine-fed minigun, which is very counterintuitive, and at the same time, I love it. So, let's take a look at this thing. Let's get some batteries in it. Okay. Does come with a shoulder strap. Nice adjustable one. Okay, I like it. So here is how it works. You pull this back, and a partial pull revs the flywheels, and then a full pull makes the barrel rotate, and the blaster fire full auto. Now, of course, the big complaint is the handles. These handles were made for tiny, tiny people. I mean, this carry handle, I can't even get my fingers in there. And this I can get 3 fingers on. And it has a trigger that does nothing. And you know how I feel. I would rather have no trigger than a faux trigger. But at least it's there. Which means it would hypothetically be possible to turn it into a trigger. Though in all reality, I would probably replace that whole system entirely. And this barrel is tragic and short. I want to put longer barrels on it. Possibly taking them off a Scorpion. The Scorpion has slightly longer ones. And maybe taking the barrels off of 2 Scorpions and making them much longer. Because this is essentially a magazine-fed Scorpion. Which, we all know how good the Scorpion was out of the box. The downside was it was belt-fed, which made it difficult to reload. But if you have one that's magazine-fed, which Wallcom has done, and I have done, following his design, you would then have, a minigun-looking thing that could be fed from magazines, or even better, drums. Obviously, I would be putting 25 or 35 round drums in this thing, especially since I'm left-handed and the 35 round drum goes off to the left side. That would fit beautifully for me. Obviously, gonna have to come up with a much better handle. Obviously gonna have to come up with a better system here. I am not a big fan of that firing mechanism, though I do think it's neat. The 2-stage nature is actually pretty cool, but I will probably replace it with an actual trigger or rev trigger and fire trigger like I did on Ire, because I'm gonna have to replace all of this anyway because it's just too small. But I like it. I like the concept of it. I like that it has rotating barrels. I like that it's full auto. So I'm definitely going to open this up and try tweaking it. Possibly upgrade it to LiPo, possibly just try running it on IMRs, because it takes 4 batteries, so 3 IMRs and a dummy would be a pretty beefy upgrade, and if I'm replacing the switches, I might as well replace the wires. But yeah, I like it. The handles, the handles are tragic and small, and I understand why, because it's meant for kids, but that... that's not as bad as I thought. It's growing on me. I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. Or at least the handles. The handles are small, but you actually can't get your hand on there, and that's neat. I'm going to have fun tinkering with that. Obviously, take off all the white bits and probably paint them orange or black, and paint the rest of it orange or black. Obviously, it'll be reversed, whichever I do. Leaning towards black base with orange accents so it matches the barrel. I doubt this barrel exactly matches the Scorpion, but I should be able to figure out how to take their flat barrels and make them fit. And if that doesn't, I'll take those off entirely and put round barrels on it. Maybe get some half-inch PVC. Maybe even go smaller. Who knows? But I like it. The Demolisher. Magazine-fed, full auto BuzzBee minigun looking thing. I dig it. Alright, those are my thoughts on the Demolisher, the Covert Squad, and the Thermal Tracker. I like them all. They're all fairly nifty, particularly this one. If the performance is enough of a boost to be worthwhile, this would be a good one for a lot of cosmetic mods people have asked me about for various World War I, World War II, those style bolt-action blasters. And it definitely hits a lot harder than the previous versions. So we'll be checking that for K26 and for other spring upgrades and seeing what we can do with it. Same for this one. K26, gonna have to do something about this handle. I think I have a couple of ideas that would make it not too bad. The biggest one is just cut it here. Just because it needs it. They need to work on their ergonomics. But odds are, if the internals are anything like the previous ones, it's actually going to be able to take, if not K26, a fairly hefty spring upgrade, because the internals themselves are always pretty stout. And that was just neat. Alright, there you have it. BuzzBee, thank you so much for sending me this. I am happy to do more reviews if you want to send me more stuff. If you're not happy with this review, feel free to let me know and not send me more stuff. Entirely up to you. Hope this was helpful to some of you. Look forward to K26 this week. And thank you guys for watching. Ha!